Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of our masterclass. Today I have a very special guest, Nicholas. Nicholas and I have crossed paths for many, many moons, to be honest. And if you want to stop sharing for a second, Nicholas, let's get into your story first. I know we got a lot of content to share. You're based out of Tennessee. Here's what I know about you. You sold your first ad agency back in like 2020 or 2021. Since then, you've had multiple seven-figure businesses, consulting, e-commerce are some of the things that I remember you for. You've worked with several clients, many in the Fortune 500 space. And it's one of those entrepreneurs that, you come across and you're like, man, I've known this guy for 10 years. We watch each other from far, and now we're actually doing something together, which is a full circle moment for me.
Yeah, no, long overdue. Long overdue. I'm pumped up for today.
So take us back 10 years. Who is Nicholas?
I was someone with an entrepreneurial spirit. I kind of always knew traditional path wasn't for me. So went to 1 year of college, dropped out. I called my mom the first week. I said, "Hey, this isn't for me," and went and learned sales. And then that was kind of my launch pad to getting into the agency world. Right, learned how to do media buying on Meta back when it was Facebook in like 2016. And that was kind of my launch pad, and I took that skill set to starting the first agency, and kind of everything you read off is the rest of the story.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna throw a couple of names at you from where I remember you from. SMMA with Ty Lopez for sure. Sam Ovens is consulting. Who else? Josh Nelson's program. Couple of ones in Nashville as well. Some local groups there that I've been part of. I can think of, Nicholas Shackelford, if I'm not mistaken. A couple of e-commerce people in that world. Uh, does any of those ring a bell? I feel like you've moved past all those people. Dan Henry was another one I feel like I remember you from.
Yeah, I don't know about move past. Obviously, everyone's involved in their own journey, but yeah, I mean, all of those names, we've either collaborated or have taught in those programs, or just been in the same space for a long time. And I think in a space where a lot of people come and go, some people find their footing, some people don't. No, it's cool to see similar faces that have stuck around and really built.
Absolutely. If you guys are watching this live on any of the social platforms right now, give us some comments. Are you close to Nicholas in Nashville or maybe close to me in Texas? Like, we would love to know who's local to us, so put those in the comments. Or just better yet, tell us where you're from. Like, what region? Maybe you're in a different time zone. Maybe you're an Australian person watching this at 3 a.m. or someone in London or, Italy. Like, you just let us know where you're from. We'd love to connect with you. Today we have a very special topic. If you are familiar with our masterclass format, we take one subject, go all in on it. And it doesn't have to be necessarily high level. So today we're talking LinkedIn. How many of you are currently leveraging LinkedIn for maybe low ticket, mid ticket, or high ticket clients? Nicholas, how did you get involved in the whole LinkedIn play? Like, kind of give us the backstory to that before we get into the teaching.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been creating on LinkedIn for about 6 years now. So back in 2019, when I was kind of this was about the time I had exited the first agency. I really took it seriously because we were trying to land enterprise clients at that next agency that I was a part of. And there was no better place to do that and reach those decision makers than LinkedIn. So that kind of kicked off my creator journey. Both of my business part of the largest followings on the platform. So they kind of inspired me to pick it up, and that's when I got started with it.
Got it. So before we go into anything else, when you say exited the agency at like 20 years old, man, that must have been quite the awakening, right? Because you got investors looking at P&Ls, you got a new owner that's looking at stability of you walking away, like teams, like maybe there's a client acquisition method that's in place that's based on you. Like, give us like a quick 30-second like lessons that you have learned from that initial like journey.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that you have to understand why you want to make a move like that, like why you want to sell, right? Because I was on a good trajectory, and in hindsight, could have kept building that myself and done well with it, right? But for me, I was working with a segment of clients that, while it was exciting, I was in info or local, some D2C e-com, but it was kind of a variety. And this other agency that bought me was working with enterprise clients, right? Fortune 500 clients. So I'm like, what does it look like to take this skill set to the biggest arena that I can in advertising? And so for me, it was more of a strategic move of like, okay, I want to see how this game is played. And that's ultimately why I made the decision to go that route. Now, I think that me coming with the deal for a period of time obviously has an effect on perceived risk from a buyer and all of those things, which allowed me to get a better deal in hindsight than I would have gotten had I not come with that and really decided to participate as an owner and president in the new agency.
I love that. There's a lot of complexity in walking away from a business. Agency is even more complex. It's an entrepreneurial built business. So, as you guys are leaning in and watching this masterclass, I hope you're taking notes. Let's go into the world of client acquisition, specifically through LinkedIn. We know that you don't have an agency until you're in the world of inbound leads. Would you agree with me, Nicholas?
100%, yes.
Now,
Uh,
LinkedIn is probably a big component of that, right? Can we go ahead and share slides and get right into it?
yeah, let's go ahead and do it here.
And
All
as
right.
Nicholas is pulling that up, let me ask you guys a question in the chat. How many of you are interested in LinkedIn? Give me a one in the chat if LinkedIn makes sense for you or it's something that you're considering. Give me a two in the chat if you are considering LinkedIn to be an additional channel, maybe not a primary, but maybe as a secondary channel that you want to add to what you already have on your plate. Awesome. Go ahead, Nicholas.
All right, cool. If you're not putting twos in the chat, I hope that what I'm about to show you convinces you that you should be on LinkedIn. I personally believe LinkedIn is one of the best client acquisition channels possible, whether you run an agency or a consultancy or any sort of B2B service, any client service business, really. I think LinkedIn is still super slept on. And I want to address kind of the elephant in the room, preconceived notion around LinkedIn that, people are just posting motivational platitudes on there and it's, cringe or whatever. And I will say that if you post the right content and you do these strategies the right way, it just makes it that much easier to cut through the noise, right? If that stigma exists, if you really bring sauce to the table and value to the marketplace, then you're going to see success here. So I'm excited to dive right into this. Now, of course, results may vary, and past performance, not a guarantee of your future performance. And of course, high level right here cannot guarantee.
Nothing to see here, guys. Nothing to see here. You
you know,
won't make any money here.
we got to go through the legal language, right?
I love it.
But step one to getting clients on LinkedIn is having the perfect profile, right? And what do I mean by the perfect profile? This is really your landing page, right? And if you guys are using high level, you probably are using landing pages inside of there, and you know what a good one should look like. But in this case, it should clearly communicate your agency or your business's positioning, right? Who are you and what do you do for people? You should be featuring all of your top performing posts, your case studies, and your videos as featured content. And lower down on the page, you can't see it in this screenshot here, but there's a whole section where I can feature all of my best stuff. And that drives evergreen traffic to those assets, whether it's an opt-in, whether it's a lead magnet, whether it's some sort of case study that I want them to see. All of that can be featured here. Next, you have an about section that clearly states what you do and who your agency serves. So how can I give more color on the headline that I put above? Also, I want you to have creator mode turned on. This is going to prioritize followers over connections, and you're going to grow faster because the default button on your profile is going to be follow instead of connect. Don't worry, we'll talk about getting plenty of connections later. Next, I want you to have one CTA link, right? You can see that I have this here. get our growth blueprint. I will touch on that more in a little bit, but you want to have one destination, right? I don't want to be confusing people with what I want them to do. Also, you have a cover photo that clearly communicates what you do in short format. Now, profile is one piece of the equation. The second part of the equation, and the hardest part about showing up consistently, is figuring out what the heck to talk about, right? A lot of people get writer's block and they end up publishing nothing instead of something. So I'm going to give you my entire content calendar that I use each and every week and the content pillars that I hit on so that you know exactly what to post and you can adopt this to whatever business that you run. So pillar number one is lessons and learnings, right? So
Can we throw that in the chat, guys? If you're watching this live, throw that in the chat. Lessons and learnings, pillar number one. Because what you write down in the classroom when someone's teaching, you probably will remember it better and you'll be able to take action. So let's go academic here if you guys don't mind.
let's do it. Let's do it. Just don't go to sleep on me. All right. That's my only thing if we're going academic. Second, what creative formats are working for your clients right now? What trends are you seeing across industries? Right? Like right now, hot topics across any business. How is the economy affecting what you do? And how is AI affecting what you do? Right? There is things that you could talk about for weeks and months just on those topics alone. And what you can see here is in my example post is I'm speaking to my audience, but I'm also integrating my take on the marketplace, right? In this one, I'm being sensational. Advertising agencies are dead, right? And I'm acknowledging I'm being sensational, right? So let me spike their emotion and then kind of level the playing field. And then I give my nuanced take on why I believe this to be the case and how things are going to evolve. Now, what does this do if you're an agency owner reading this? Well, you're probably going to read it because it's sensational and you run an advertising agency, so it's probably piquing your curiosity. And second, you're going to see, okay, what should I do if this is the case, right? So I have your buy-in throughout this post. And that's really what lessons and learnings are meant to do, is how can I take insight but make it interesting enough that you're actually going to read it, right? Second, client conversations, right? Your customers, your current clients are one of your best sources of content, and you might not even realize it right now, right? So think about when you take a client through your onboarding or reporting process, they have questions. How long should I expect to wait before I see results? What are we going to test next? What's our communication going to be like? What should we be thinking about in terms of platform X, Y, or Z? All of these things that your current clients ask, I guarantee your next client has the same question. So I might as well talk about it so my prospects know my take on that specific subject. And also understand, by giving your takes on this, you're differentiating yourself with just this pillar alone, because every agency and every person is going to have a unique take, and ultimately people buy you before they buy what you do, right? So if I can communicate, hey, this is how I approach this, someone can be like, oh, I resonate with that. I want to talk with this guy and I want this person handling whatever you solve for your clients. So hopefully that makes sense.
It makes sense. Does this apply only to high ticket, or does this apply in general for all business, regardless of the business model of your offers or sales?
This is just psychology. So this is every business model out there, right? Every prospect has questions when they get on the phone with you, and when you're fulfilling the service, and after you've fulfilled whatever service you have, right? There's questions at all stages of the funnel, and it's worth creating content around. Cool. So third, hot takes, right? What do you disagree with the market on? What do you do that your competitors don't? And it's okay to ruffle some feathers here, right? And most people are a little too PC on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you, all the biggest creators, they actually talk as they are in real life. They're not overly corporate. They actually say what they feel, right? So don't be afraid to go against what the commonly held belief is. And I kind of want you to think about, you're writing a news headline here, and what is actually going to stop the scroll and get someone to spend time reading this. That's really, in essence, what a hot take is. And it also creates that differentiation. It positions me differently in the marketplace. And in a world where everyone's saying the same thing because they're all going to ChatGPT and having their posts written for them, this is really where you can stand out and cut through that noise by giving a real take. So, for example, one of my hot takes, hey, I think offering guarantees on any kind of professional service is a quick way to devalue your work, attract needy clients, and be expected to deliver on unreasonable timelines. Now, people love guarantees. A lot of my clients use guarantees, but this is my hot take. And all 57 of these comments are people chirping at me saying, well, here's what I think. I don't know how I feel about that. Or, yeah, I 100% agree. But you can see that I'm attracting who I want in my ecosystem by providing this take and repelling people that I don't. And at the very worst, they're giving my posts more reach. All right.
Yeah, Nicholas, you know what you're saying reminds me of a great almost like a big public figure in the space that told me, "Hey, Paulson, building an agency is the ultimate personal development challenge you could go through." And after being an agency owner for like, I don't know, 6 years, you've had multiple agencies for 10 years, you probably agree with me. But in the latter part of the journey, one thing I notice is if you stand for something, you're gonna attract a lot more people into your world. Doesn't mean you have to be polarizing. It just means that you have to establish your opinion,
I
right?
I wholeheartedly agree. And that's the thing. That's where clients are flowing. Like those people attract all the market share because they have something that someone can relate to or a shared belief in. But if you just have the same message and you just blend in with everyone else, well, then you're perceived as a commodity, right? And it's also the same reason why you see people put labels on their service offering and coming up with creative naming mechanisms and kind of clouding what they do on the back end with a more attractive name on the front end. It's because, oh, well, I want to buy into that system, right, that this person has. It's almost a representation of who they are at a certain point. So yeah, hot takes, one of my favorite ways to get attention though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the pattern that I always see is like you see very seasoned entrepreneurs go into politics because now they've formulated an opinion. Or, some people that we know, they go the faith-based route, right? Because they've formulated a certain stand. Like these are just like 2.0, 3.0 versions of the person. They started off as a content creator and then all of a sudden they're running for a seat in a town.
Yeah, yeah, and it's crazy how you see the principles applied not only here but just across every facet of life, right? And once again, it's because we're going back to the psychology of how we work as people. So that's kind of what we're tapping into here with hot takes.
Love it.
Personal stories, building in public. How do we get to where we are today? Why build what you're building? What you have to overcome to get here? Once again, people buy you before they buy what you do. So it's worthwhile to share those personal stories because people relate to that. And honestly, people like to see other people win, right? Now, this might vary a little bit by culture. At least I've heard from my friends in the UK. It might be a little less so. But in general, people want to see you do well. And people want to see that you just didn't climb the mountain and then you're only posting from the summit of Mount Everest. I want to see the journey, the struggle, the detours you had to take to get there because that's what makes it real, especially when everyone is being overly sensational nowadays with what they've done or what they've accomplished. You need to make it real. It's almost like posting a Shopify screenshot or a Stripe account and giving zero context behind it. And it's like, what does that tell me? Like, it almost turns me off more than it attracts me to that person because it doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem
Yeah.
tangible. So
Yeah, full
that's
confession. Full confession this week, Nicholas. I spent hours studying streamers this week. And I'm like, dude, how are these people bringing in 900,000 people on a freaking like 8 hour stream. Like something's off about that. And as a marketing professional, I'm like, what is it? What is it about it? And it's the realism. That's it. They want to see the real person behind the story.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think the less you dress yourself up and try and be someone you're not on LinkedIn or in ads or insert any place that you distribute content, the better you're going to do. You know, that overly polished era has kind of come and gone in my opinion, right? And now that there's so much content and so much um, almost covering up of the real story to seem and position like we're somebody else, the more you course correct the other way, the better results you're probably going to get because we hit that saturation
Absolutely.
point, you know?
Do you ever get annoyed when you see a blog that you're reading and at the end of it you're like, dang it, this was on ChatGPT. Like I wasted time reading this knowing that it's not real and you know this person that it's supposedly from. Like our human emotional capability is so unique that we can read the difference.
For sure. For sure. And I mean, like, it even comes down to the post formatting. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But if I see a double dash, I immediately check out.
I'm done. Me
I'm
too.
out. Like I actually know that that's written with AI and it instantly becomes irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's behind a personal face and it's just like, why can't I get the real take, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Full confession, our team internally, we just rolled out a ton of emails with double dashes, and I'm talking to our leaders there. I'm like, bro, we have one job. Like, the double dash has got to go.
yeah, and to be clear, like I'm gonna talk briefly about using AI too, but it's like if you catch those things and you edit those things out, it can make your journey easier, but it's
Yeah.
still real and it doesn't throw up red flags. So
So
personal
personal
stories,
stories.
lean into this. We I know we went off a little bit and we came back. So that's all part of the journey. But next, which kind of coincides with it, right? Build in public. I encourage people. Did you lose a client recently? Ooh, scary one to
Mhm.
talk about, right? Why would I ever talk about losing a client? Well, what does this do for me, right? What it does is it takes a prospect and it takes them out of this person's trying to sell me something and it's, oh, this person's being real with me, right? And I have this principle that I talk a lot about is the less that you need the deal, the more likely you are to get the deal, right? And it's that non-neediness that comes across in pretty much everything that you do that attracts more clients to you. Because who are you going to buy from? Are you going to buy from someone that jumps on and says, hey, 100% of our clients win. We're going to crush it for you. This is going to be incredible. You have no idea. Or are you going to buy from the guy who's been doing it 10 years and maybe say, hey, you know, a lot of our clients tend to see success, but we've definitely had some ones that haven't. And here's what I noticed about those relationships, about those projects, about those setups. So we tend to steer away from stuff like that and only focus on this because we have a better chance of succeeding with it. I'm going to buy from the second guy because it's real, it's honest. And the fact that, you know, you are kind of maybe insulting someone else's intelligence by not thinking that they don't have the ability to see through smoke and mirrors might be hurting you more than you think acting that way is helping you. So, uh, long story short, don't be afraid to share your L's because that's what also makes it real. And you will attract a certain persona of client to work with you. And I don't know about you, Paulson, but I would much rather, you said you work with dentists. I would much rather work with a dentist who knows that not every ad is going to win and testing is part of the process than judging you that, hey, we had a losing ad or performance is down the last 48 hours. What's going on?
Yeah. And one thing I was looking back at my old dental agency, I stood on business on performance, even though it was never a performance contract. So like if ads didn't work, I was happy to refund or make an adjustment to make it right. Like I think that
Sure.
was just the nature of how I ran business. But a lot of people, they don't consider that as an option, right? So then over time, it stains the relationship. Over time, it hurts. Even with high level, like let's get a white elephant out of the way. Like in the beginning stages of high level, this thing was buggy. We know. We get it. The thing was buggy. We had way too many features. Everything was in beta forever. Like we get it. Over the years, we went back and built out the core components. Then built a better foundation and really just transformed the whole thing over time. But we were very honest and transparent. Sean would do a little video about this coming out and that coming out, and then Varun would do a video about what we're working on, right? Like so we were very transparent with our customer base, and that allowed us to get farther versus just saying we've got it all figured out, we're the next best thing. Well, no, that's not how real life works.
Right. No, precisely. And that honesty probably kept people with you on that journey
Yes.
versus turning a blind eye to the problem and saying it's fine or ignoring it. Right. So building in public, very powerful. Right. Winning a new client, that's easy to talk about, but people never highlight when they win a new client. And it's like, why not? That's just more social proof that you can be shipping out and distributing week over week, hopefully. Right. Did you make new hires? Everyone loves a growing team, right? And what are you studying right now? How are you staying ahead of the curve? And why should I trust you with whatever I'm in a position to trust you with, right? How do I know you're on the cutting edge? People always want to work with people that are perceived ahead of them. No one wants to work with someone equivalent or behind them, right? So make sure that you can explain how you're staying ahead of the curve respective to whatever you do.
Now, how when it comes to LinkedIn, Nicholas, when you say build in public, should I like post videos of me working on projects, or like how do you deliver this component of building in public? Are these posts, articles that you work on something, or is it like how deep do you go in the content?
Yeah, so I mean, this could be as simple as the example post that I have right here about a real client situation. A reason that I lost this client was because, hey, we're a consulting business. So your advice is great, but I just don't have time to implement it, right? Real constraint, real bottleneck that I hear all the time. So it's like, let me be honest about that, and let me be honest about a solution that I see or something we could have done different in the future. This could also be day in the life of an ex owner and make
Mm,
that a video, right? What does that look
love that.
like, right? Or here's how I handle a tough client call, or here's how I handle X, Y, or Z. Just bring people, basically pull up a chair next to yourself and have your prospects sit in that seat, right? Because all I'm trying to do with this type of content is take it from, we're not sitting across the table, we're sitting on the same side of the table, and you're experiencing this journey with me.
Can we throw some chair emojis in the comments? I think that was a brilliant way to look at the perspective of how to write. Right? A lot of us don't know how to write in what we're doing. If you asked a marketer, what do you do for a living? They're going to talk about Facebook ads, right? That's just, here's how Facebook ads work. Well, no
Yeah.
one asked you about how ad accounts work. We just want to know what you do and what you bring to the table. And there's a very clear distinction there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Does that clear things up though on
Absolutely. Yeah.
how I'm
Let's
talking about it?
keep going. Keep going. Don't mind me interrupting here and there.
Oh, no, no problem. And number 6, case studies, right? So demonstrate your results, demonstrate your competency, and most importantly, explain the thought process. So this is a case study template. This is actually a lead magnet that I give away through our high-level funnels. But long story short, case studies are the most powerful way to communicate to a prospect. I not only have the confidence, but I have the competence to get you to your desired outcome. Because here's what I'm going to do with my case studies. And over time, you'll stack these unique situations of starting points for clients that your ideal avatar is going to start relating to a specific case study who's been in that situation before, right? So it's like, oh, this person was on the same starting line. They walked the same bridge, i.e., your service, and they got to the desired outcome, right? And that's what case studies are meant to do. Is I want it to be relatable, I want it to be actionable, and I want it to prove expertise and show my work. So that's how I use case studies to assist in my conversion process as far as client acquisition goes. And I'm using these probably to an annoying level because I believe you can never over index on social proof personally. The more the better, really.
Yeah, and I've seen people take like a basic testimonial and a review and they turn it into a podcast and an article. There's like a whole content flywheel that they roll out. And they do it at scale. And I think most importantly, you need to make sure it's relevant to the audience you're catering to. It shouldn't be, you know, bring the feathers of my throne and make me look like I'm on a pedestal. Like that you lose the whole component and the point of it.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. It's really, you should write these in a way that it's all about them. It's all about your prospect or them relating to the story that you're telling. Number 7, lead magnets, right? So this is once a week. Everyone loves a free resource. And this is by far the 80-20 of generating organic leads on LinkedIn, okay? Because I'm going to give away that case study template that I just went through. And my hook for this was we've closed 4, 5, and even 6-figure per month projects for our agencies. What's the common denominator? Having strong case studies, right? So this template shows you exactly what to include so you can close better deals. Comment CS and I'll send it over. Had 211 people opt in for this resource. And this opens up tons of DM conversations because I have to DM everyone this. And if they opt in for this case study or this resource, I likely know that they have a client acquisition issue or at least need help on client acquisition because this is a signal of intent in a certain way. So I might ask a follow-up question on that. Hey, just out of curiosity, are you presenting case studies in your sales process right now? And then yes, no. Oh, okay. What does the sales funnel metrics look like for you? Like, are you closing above X%? And I'm just getting a conversation going that I am ultimately going to convert into a sales call later on. But these are by far the most powerful way to open up conversations. And there is a lead magnet for every business that's listening to this right now, every person that's listening to this. Doesn't matter what you offer. I want you to think about, how do I take, let's say a prospect has 100% of a problem, right? How do I solve the first 10% of that problem for free? How do I package that up in a way that they can win immediately and on their own? And then how can I have the 90% on the back end still be retained that I can upsell them into? But it has to be valuable, it has to be unique, and they have to be able to win quickly.
Yeah, and often also tell people it's better if it's quantifiable as well, right? If they can associate numbers to it versus like, hey, here's a story of my bio. No one cares. No one
Yeah,
cares.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, how to do X in Y time frame, right? Like tried and true. Do XYZ, 7 ways to solve this problem. All of those formats are going to work. And like, that's an example of something I would use AI for. Hey, this is what I do. Give me some lead magnet ideas. Boom, you're going to have these done very quickly. Where you should put disproportionate effort into is actual resource itself, because it has to be good, right? Because if it's not good, the first experience someone has with you is a poor one. And they're like, well, this wasn't very good, so I'm definitely not going to be buying whatever they have on the backside, right? So I want them to be blown away with this in a way that actually gets them a result too.
Brilliant.
Cool. So let's talk about using AI. AI is incredible for helping you get content ideas and getting you unstuck, right? One action item I would take from what I've gone through so far is just take those content pillars, feed it your story, and say ideate posts for me, right? You have all the content pillars, boom, you're going to have concepts ready to roll, ready to write. The only thing about AI is that we need to be a really good editor of the output to format it properly for LinkedIn. And I mean, you're going to get plenty of content ideas from this. So once again, it comes back to the actual editing of it. Now, repurposing ideas. I'm a big fan of repurposing trending content in your niche and giving your unique perspective on it. So for example, if there's a YouTube video that I like, I might grab this Chrome extension, just look up YouTube summary with ChatGPT and Claude, and it'll give you the transcript for any YouTube video. So it'll be like, hey, here's this video. Here's my take. Help me craft a post that acknowledges this, but caveats my opinion, right? So good pickup there, repurposing blogs, email newsletters. I mean, you can do this with any type of content, really. There is a QR code here. If you want to scan it and get my prompt library for content, go ahead, pull out your phone, snag that, and you'll be off to the races.
Real quick, Nicholas, one additional component that I think we should talk about is different type of social platforms. Let's imagine every single one of them to be a house, right? When you enter these homes, these houses,
Yeah.
the content in each one of these houses is different, right? Imagine a gallery library within each house. The TikTok format is a very short form, heavy video format. If you go to YouTube, it's long form, heavy video format. You go to Facebook, it's very much like a mix of everything, right? If you go to Pinterest, it's like a to-do list, right? If you go to LinkedIn, from what I know, correct me if I'm wrong, Nicholas, because you're the expert, it's more of an SEO platform where written content has a place.
For sure. And I would say that mid-length written content where it's not a tweet, but it's not a blog post is right about where you want to be. And I want some sort of visual element to accompany that. And that could be a static photo. It could be a short form video. But I mean, I've built the majority of my following just on text posts alone, right? And if they're written well, they will get read and they will build readership. And clients from that. So I also like that it's a little bit more evergreen as well than some of these other platforms. Longer lifespan. TikTok, I mean, it has what, a 24-hour lifespan, if that, right? Whereas on LinkedIn, I mean, I still get engagement on content that I've posted months ago. Like some of those lead magnets that I've posted a year ago still have people commenting on them. Now, I'm not talking like huge numbers of people commenting still, but it's pretty crazy that you can even still find that on LinkedIn after all that time. So
Yeah.
it's definitely worth building the channel, in my opinion.
The other side I like about LinkedIn is it's very integratable. You can attach another integration to it. You can automate a lot of things. There's a lot of tools you can put on top of LinkedIn versus like a TikTok or a Facebook or even YouTube. Like they're not extra friendly on bolting on, something on Sales Navigator and dropping a bunch of stuff. Like, help us understand that as well if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's tons of automation tools out there for DMs, which we'll get into a little bit later in the presentation, or for content like researching trending content ideas, scheduling content, all of those things. It's very possible. So I'm a fan of where the platform is going. I also think that LinkedIn plays very nice with a lot of these tools on top of them, right? Like it's not violating terms of service, and they're encouraging some of these things just with their behavior in the background by way of, okay, not banning people for using it. I haven't heard of someone getting banned for using some sort of tool in a long time. So yeah, I mean, definitely other avenues.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, all these leads come into a platform like High Level. So you curate different sales opportunities and evergreen relationships. We'll go into that in a second, but let's keep going. Let's keep going. A lot more things to cover.
For sure, for sure. So LinkedIn content calendar, this is essentially what my month looks like, right? I will have this in ClickUp. Some people might use ClickUp. You might use Asana. You might use Monday. You might use something else. Totally fine. I just like to have a list of what content I'm going to post and a calendar so I can actually see when things are shipping, and I'll have the content template in there so that I already know what I'm going to write. I'm just coming in to fill the placeholders every week, right? So let's talk about post structure. LinkedIn, the hook is the 80-20 of the post. You can only see the first 2 lines on LinkedIn. So I need to make sure that that's a very impactful 2 lines, right? So for example, I want you to see the before and after. These are the same piece of content after these 2 lines. But first one, when I'm on the phone with a prospect, I always book the follow-up meeting on the call versus waiting to follow up via email to get a call booked, right? 3,200 impressions on this one. And you can see that on the right-hand side here, I have our discovery to pitch rate increased 200% by doing this one simple thing. Now, I want you to notice the difference in engagement against the number of impressions. The second one has less impressions and 5 times the engagement, right? So it all matters in terms of what am I doing to get someone's attention in terms of how relatable it's going to be. And I also quantified it. To go back to your point earlier, Paulson, I quantified 200% increase. That's way more impactful than the hook that I wrote before, right? Same thing. You get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problem you solve. It's one of my favorite quotes. But it wasn't really about someone. It wasn't about them. It wasn't about the reader. So I said, want to make more, solve higher value problems for your customers. Then I include the quote later. But look at the difference in reach and the difference in engagement. These are the same post. So your hook really matters the most out of anything else that you write. Same thing for video, same thing for ads, things like that.
Absolutely. And depending on your audience, right? If you're talking to med spa owners, your platform's going to be like an Instagram where they're sensitive on the visual outlook of your brand, right? When you go to accountants, of course you better be on LinkedIn. They are analytical thinkers. They are looking at stats. They're looking at numbers. When you're talking to, mechanics, they care about reviews. They care about what Google My Business profile looks like. That each one of your avatars may have a certain feel towards a platform. Like LinkedIn is something that very much affects a lot of industries.
For sure, for sure. And you bring up a good point as well. And I actually think I meant to bring it up on the last slide, but LinkedIn, the main difference is that there's intent, right? People are on LinkedIn to learn something, right? Either to learn something, find a solution to a problem they have. They're going to other channels for their entertainment fix, right? And that's just another reason why you should get LinkedIn right and post these content pillars that I'm talking about, because I'm taking someone in that headspace who's ready to consume that kind of content and putting it in front of them and spoon feeding it to them in a way that's going to attract them to my business, right?
Yeah. I
Same
look
thing
at
with
the
YouTube, right? You jump on and if I'm gonna watch a 2-hour video, I'm there to like learn something, you know?
Yeah, I was telling one of my nephews, I'm sorry, niece, she's like 7 years old in New York, and she's like, "Hey, how do you do the social media thing?" No, I didn't know there's a business around it, and I explained it to her like it's a city. I was like, LinkedIn is like a library, YouTube is like a movie theater, TikTok is like a club, Facebook is like a bar. Or a
Yeah,
restaurant, like and you go to Shopify or Amazon, that's like a grocery store. And she was like, "Oh, that's kind of clicking for me." It's like
yeah,
different types of experiences. So you need to be mindful of the sales experience that are happening in each one of these platforms.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, being congruent is everything, right? So let's talk about the framework of how to write a good post, right? And this framework I like to call HSSRC. So the hook, the story or the soul of the post, the solution I'm giving you, the result, and the CTA, right? So in this example, my hook is what if you actually showed up, right? And then, like committed to building on LinkedIn consistently for 6 months, right? I'm going into my story now where I'm saying I can't predict the future, but hey, I've booked hundreds of calls on this platform and here's what it's provided me, right? Now, here's how you can do this as well, right? Here's what I know works. Here's what I know doesn't work. And then land the plane. What's the result of the lesson here that I want the reader to walk away with, right? And then I have a CTA where people can reach out to me to get my SOPs, right, on how to do LinkedIn well. So you can see that I keep the reader moving through this story, and I not only make it about them, but I justify my experience. I make it easy and digestible for them to understand what do I want you to take away and what's the lesson and how can you benefit. And you can see with these bullet points, it's just very easy to read, right? So I like to write my LinkedIn posts almost like I would write a Facebook ad in a certain way, right? Where I'm chunking things out into bulleted lists and I'm making it really easy for people to digest.
And this framework not only applies to written content, this also applies to other formats like video and audio and a painting, if that's what you even want to describe it as. Like, do you agree with that, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, going back to just psychology, right? Like, do you have my interest? Why am I watching this person? What's in it for me? Prove to me that it works. And what should I do about it? Right? That's the natural line of questioning that I'm going through, at least when I watch or consume pretty much anything to a varying degree, right? Depends what I'm watching for. If it's entertainment, maybe not. Maybe I just care about the hook and an interesting concept. But if I'm wanting to learn something, this is how you tell a complete picture. So let's talk about formatting. Once again, I want to avoid lengthy paragraphs or clumps of sentences. Make sure it's conversational as well. I want this to, once again, feel like I'm not talking at you. I'm in the same room as you and you're on the same side of the table. Hey, let me show you what worked for me, right? That's how I want this to come across. And once again, write your post copy like a Facebook ad or an email, not a blog post, right? So I kind of already touched on this there, so I don't want to spend too much more time on it. So in terms of adding visuals, one of the most powerful things you can do to improve the reach and engagement of your content. And what I like to do is use this tool called Post Nitro. I'm not an affiliate or anything. I just like the tool. And basically I can take any post copy, plug it in here, and it'll just turn it into a carousel for me, right? And then I can export it as a PDF and upload it. So it'll design everything. You know, you can have your name down here, your photo. Looks really nice. Tons of themes to choose from. You can customize everything. So if I'm going with like a really long bulleted list of like, hey, 5 steps to increasing X, right? Each of those points can be a carousel card, and that's a layup for good content. Let's talk about recycling. So every 60 to 90 days, I'm going to recycle my content. So a lot of what you see me posting isn't necessarily net new, especially things that don't change for me, like philosophies around a type of business or a type of tactic. And this allows me to not have to make net new content all the time. So I'll make the original post, see what did well, and then rewrite the post, mostly rewriting the hook, and then repost that revised piece of content. And that goes back to my hook example earlier, that just changing the hook can completely change the performance of the post. And also, all the people that ignored my bad hook before might engage with that post with a good hook, and they didn't see the rest of the content. And even over and above that, people consume so much content, they are surely not going to remember everything that you write. So people need to be reminded more than they need to be taught typically. So just because you said something once and it's second nature for you, don't assume that your audience feels that same way. You really have to repeat yourself to ingrain that belief and have them associate that belief with you. So don't be afraid to repost. It's one of my favorite things to do. And it makes the lift of posting on LinkedIn every day a whole lot easier. Oh, here we go. So I included some of our clients' content in this presentation because I want you to see how I would look at a post and what I critique about it. So when you go to write, you're not making that same mistake, right? So in this example, our Arjun owns an agency focused on Instagram content. And he said how to get your brand more visibility on the Instagram Explore page, right? Now, if I'm looking at this with the most critical lens, right, what do you notice about this hook? Well, it doesn't really grab my attention a whole lot, right? It's kind of like Instagram Explore page. I don't really know. So I want to make it how to use Instagram's Explore feature to scale your brand's revenue. Give me the outcome, right? Sell the vacation, not the plane ride here. I want revenue. I want scale. I don't want more visibility, right? Another take on this could be most people believe X, but it actually does Y, right? So how can I take their current belief, build the bridge to the new belief that ultimately is a better way of thinking, right? Also, in this case, I would have used a carousel, right? Also, on formatting, I would have removed these hashtags, right? Once again, something that's going to come across AI written. So,
Yeah. And also be mindful when you're on a platform talking about another platform, you're just gonna generally lose some juice, right? Like if you ever post a YouTube link on Facebook post, you'll notice that it just does won't reach as far. So if this is on LinkedIn, you're talking about Instagram, just be mindful of how the big players look at all this. You're essentially stealing traffic and directing it to another world. So regardless of how great your hook is or not, or offer is or not, just understand the sandbox you're playing in.
yeah, no, I mean, great call out as well on that side. If you are going to include a link, do it in the comments. Don't do it in your post.
Never on any platform.
Yeah, for sure. So this one, Jack from Prospa Media, right? D2C ecom agency. Do you know your CAC to LTV ratio? You need to, okay? Gets right to what I want to talk about in the post. This is great, but it doesn't intrigue me as to why it's important, right? This is a pretty down funnel type post in terms of someone who is very sophisticated, very aware of what this even means, but it doesn't have that appeal that's going to get me reach and bring people into my ecosystem. So what I would change this to is this one ratio allowed us to scale a brand from 200K to 1 million a month, right? Then I've opened up the space to educate them and actually talk about this. And then I would transition, but 99% of people overlook this. Here's how to be part of the 1% who use it correctly, right? Then go into the rest of the post. I actually don't dislike how the post is formatted. You can see lots of bullets here. Looks pretty clean. Gives what the ideal ratio should be, so it's quantifiable. And he gives the key takeaway at the end, right? It gives the lesson that I need to learn. So overall, pretty good post, but the hook is the only thing I would really change here. Now, Joe, another D2C ecom agency. Now, I always give him crap for this because Joe gets incredible results, but has talked about things incorrectly in the past. And what I mean is, we have this screenshot here. But if you remember what I said earlier in this presentation, Paulson, what does this not do for someone reading this?
It doesn't give me my desired scenario outlined. It's just too far in the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't communicate to me how I got to this result. Yeah,
Right.
email's up 81%, but what does that do for me, Joe? That's what I want to get to. By the way, got permission on all of these, so they know I'm giving them a hard time about it. But a couple follow-up questions on this. Over what time frame? How was this done? What was the total percentage of revenue driven from email? Like, as a brand owner, I want to know the answers to these questions. So I need to forecast what follow-up questions that prospect's going to have to make it believable and plan for that and write to it. So it needs the story to it. Also, I might want 81% revenue growth from email in the next 30 days. Question mark. Great hook. Opens up a lot of opportunity for me to talk about, well, here's how to do it. And then finally, if you want someone to do it for you, then let's talk. Right. Could also say 99% of people do email marketing wrong. Once again, sensational, polarizing to some degree. Once again, going to get people to read this thing. Probably the spiciest take on this would be your emails suck. And
Straight to
like
the
I said,
point.
yeah, yeah, and here's why, and here's what it looks like when you do it well, right? So there's always a way to spike the emotion and then also bring it down to, hey, but it's not your fault, right? What has the market told you, or what have others told you to believe that led you down this incorrect path? Let me get you on the right path together, right? So as long as you do that, it's not going to come across like I'm telling you all over the place what you should do and you're wrong and I'm right and you're not. I'm just using that to get attention, just to be clear.
Yeah, those of you that are watching, give us a one in the chat if you're resonating with this. Maybe you're getting small or big golden nuggets out of this, and you're like, you know what? I've got something to implement. If you're feeling that way, put a one in the chat and just let us know that you're following here.
Cool. Yeah, stay with me. Stay with me. We're about to show you how to book meetings week over week in the DMs. So if you're thinking about checking out, hold the line. I got more for you. Okay. Organizing your content. Once again, I use ClickUp. ClickUp to me is consistency. If you want my calendar imported into your ClickUp account, if you use it, great. Scan the QR code. If not, no problem. You can adapt this to whatever project management tool you use. I would still scan the QR code because you can just do a free ClickUp account and then copy it to whatever platform you do use. But it'll all be preloaded in there. All right. So that is the organic side of LinkedIn, right? That's on getting people attracted to you. Now, what if I want to scale up my volume or I want faster results? Full transparency, that system I just showed you, I wouldn't be expecting leads for 90 days, 120 days, maybe even 6 months if it takes you a little bit longer. But I can tell you that is an asset that has paid me year after year after year, and it is worth investing into and building. And I even think with AI coming down the pipe, once again, if people know that things are written by AI, it lacks that context and experience that people perceive you to have. So I think personal brands are going to become even more important than they have been over the last 5 years, which they've already been, monumentally important. But I think with AI, this is really how you can build a moat to ensure that you're going to have a community of people who love what you do, follow your beliefs, and ultimately want to buy from you. Okay.
Absolutely. Everything you shared so far, I put it into the plant the seed farming category, and it sounds like we're about to go into hunting mode instead.
We are about to go into hunting mode and get some faster results, right? So if you want leads next week, then this is for you. Okay. So DM outreach complements your content. So you're going to learn the system that we use for our private clients on how to do DM outreach properly in a way that doesn't suck, for lack of a better term, right? You're not going to hear, "Hey, Paulson, it's great to connect." Okay, that is garbage and is not going to get you results. So I'm going to give you what's actually working right now. Okay, now you're going to be starting from the ground floor. Okay, and LinkedIn as a platform gets more powerful over time because as I show you how to connect with people on LinkedIn through Sales Navigator to send them DMs, your first degree connections are going to grow. So I might be sending them a DM and they might not respond right away, but now they're connected with me and they're getting nurtured by my daily posts across those pillars that I just communicated to you. And then maybe they might be like, oh yeah, they sent me a message, I should get back to them. Or it's that constant top of mind awareness, right? So let's talk about LinkedIn limits. We are going to be using Sales Navigator. If you haven't used Sales Navigator in the past, then you're going to want to sign up for it. It's the best $100 you're going to spend, in my opinion, in addition to go high level. So with Sales Navigator, you can send 200 connection requests a week. You get 50 in-mail credits a month. So you're going to be able to send 800 total in-mails to profiles. Also, daily message limits around 300 to 500 messages a day. but you're really going to be capped on this connection request piece, which I'm going to get into. So let's talk about the Sales Navigator setup. Step one, you need to have your lead lists configured. So this is going to be a little technical, but stay with me. So under leads inside of Sales Navigator, there's going to be a button that says lead filters, right? And what I want to do is I want to create these lead lists, and I'm going to make one for connection requests sent, exclusions, and then all of the messages that I'm sending. Now, to zoom out here, what I want you to think of is that I'm building a CRM, I'm building a version of high level inside of LinkedIn to keep track of where people are in the pipeline, okay? I wish that Sales Navigator integrated with a real CRM, by the way, it'd be way easier. But this is how we do a pseudo CRM to go ahead and make that a reality. So once that you have these made, this probably takes 5 minutes to do in total. You're going to set up your saved searches. And there's going to be 6 saved searches that we will regularly work out of. So connection requests sent. These are all the people that I've connected with that are awaiting a response. My send message lists are all people that I've reached out to with a message, and I've staged them by how many messages they've received from me. And then my F list is send in-mails. These are people who we haven't connected with that we can directly DM anyway. We don't even have to be connected with these people. We can just shoot them a message. So let's talk about targeting your ICP on LinkedIn, right? How do we actually get people that we want to talk to inside of our outreach sequence?
So and ICP stands for Ideal Client Profile for those of you that are kind of maybe starting out in the entrepreneurial world. Keep going.
Cool. So the most valuable part of LinkedIn compared to other methods of cold outreach is I can focus on decision makers who are the most likely to respond, right? And I'm going to do this by using these Sales Navigator filters. And I can filter down by people who posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days and changed jobs in the last 90 days. Now, if I just do a search for the job title I'm trying to target inside of Sales Navigator, that's going to be a pretty big and broad list, right? Not all of those people are going to be perfect fits. But one thing I want to make sure that's an absolute is that there's a high likelihood they're going to see my message. And that's why I have this posted on LinkedIn, because I know they're actively using it, right? A lot of people who haven't gotten results with DMs that I talk to, it's because they're not doing this. So this one little filter will make all the difference. And it's because a lot of people you are reaching out to might not even be on the platform, right? So I strongly recommend not deviating from that process. Next, I'm going to talk about advanced search. I won't spend too much time on this because it's a little bit technical, but all I can say is that when you are searching for your ideal client on LinkedIn, you can use some of these filters to make sure you're getting the highest quality result possible, right? So for example, I can use words like not or an and, basically saying you need to have this word in your profile and this word in your profile, right? So you can apply that to whatever line of business that you are in, but use these operators to get a more precise result. And you might have to play around with this and get a feel for what search is going to give you the highest quality. And you're going to be able to tell when you run this search and just scroll through real quick, do these look like my ICP or not, right? Does this have the title? Are they an owner? Are they a VP of marketing or whomever you sell into? Do they meet that criteria?
So those are search filters, is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So up in the search bar in Sales Navigator, the kind of the main area, you're going to be able to input these functions. Cool. So sending connection requests, this is how we are going to add them to our workflow. So for example, we have our friend Henry Martin here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect with him, right? Once again, I can send about 200 of these requests a week, all right? So I'm going to connect with them and then I'm going to save them to my list, connection request sent. Now, what's going to happen is once I send the connection request and they accept it, they're automatically going to be added to that B list that I was telling you about earlier. And you'll be able to have a link to this SOP at the end of the presentation. So don't feel the need to like remember this or take notes. It'll walk you through step by step how to run this whole flow. But just focus on the content for now. Next, messaging on LinkedIn. So if you want 30% increase in people accepting your connection requests, send it blank. Let your profile do the work. The worst thing you could do is, hey, Paulson, saw that you were XYZ, just wanted to connect. Or, hey, it's a pleasure to connect. It sounds corporate. It sounds LinkedIn-y, right? And so you just want to send it blank.
Yeah. The other
Also,
day I had somebody send me, "Hey, I'm following you." And I was like, "That's kind of creepy." Like, what do you mean? Like, if I'm just brand new just watching it or just reading it, it's just not something I'm gonna connect on, especially for just from strangers. And then they proceeded to ask, "How's your day going?" after I just said thank you. And I'm like, "Well, that also now we're in the second layer and it still doesn't like
yeah,
somebody is not reading."
right, for sure, for sure. So along those same lines, right? Shorter messages are going to be better than longer messages, and avoid the dirty words of LinkedIn. Thanks for connecting. Hey, name or hi, name. I'd love to add you to my network, right? Always remember that relevancy trumps personalization every time, meaning, is the message I'm sending someone actually applicable to where they're at right now and can give them value in some way? Also, the goal of cold outreach is to get a response, okay? It is not to only book calls. It is not to, get someone to say, yes, send me the payment link. It's to get them to say yes or no in terms of interest, right?
Nicholas, you mean to tell me that I will get biased about my offer and I would want to jump in and talk about my offer out the gate? You mean to tell me that's how I'm gonna feel?
I mean to tell you, it wouldn't be the first time I've seen it. All I'm
Yeah.
trying to assess is, are you in the market and do you have a need or do you have a problem for something that I can help with? Okay. That is really what I'm after here. So, personalized messages are typically going to call something specific out about the prospect or the company. Now, there's plenty of tools that you can use for this to personalize messages and scrape a bunch of data on what's on their profile and make things super relevant. Now, I'm going to be honest with you though, relevancy trumps personalization, like I said. So, I am much more a fan of having something that's more generalized. I don't have to rely on an outside tool to personalize it for me, and I surely don't have to take a bunch of time to do research because cold outreach is a volume game at the end of the day. But I can use a message format that gets me to the same place perception wise without any personalization. So, for example, I need a pattern interrupt and kind of make it vague, but also humanize me a little bit. So, for example, one of my favorite first lines is, "Hey, I know this is random, but you seemed like the best person to reach out to for this. It seems like I'm searching manually for someone at your company to reach out to for this. Surely that does not sound automated, right?" Second, the body, it's clear, concise, and it builds curiosity. So, 1 to 2 sentences in terms of the problem they might be facing, the solution that you provide, and the result that they might be after. Okay, and I'm going to get into examples here in a second, so stay with me. Third, call to action. I want to ask a question. I'm going to pitch a call or I'm going to share a resource, right? Only if we know what problem that person is facing already, right? So this might be more of a follow-up message. But let's talk about the messaging sequence that we use. So message one, we have the examples that I'm going to get into, but it's basically those 3 bullet points I just went through. Message two is going to be forgot to mention. This might be a case study. Forgot to mention, we just took a brand like yours from X to Y. Forgot to mention, we just took a med spa from X to Y, right? So I'm inserting that case study. Message three, if they don't respond, it might just be Paulson, ? Right? This alone will get people to respond. And then message four, hey, might not be a great fit right now, but do let me know if anything changes. All right.
And I really don't think it's a good idea to send all this all at the same time.
No. Which brings me to my next point here. First message day 1, day 3, day 10, day 17. Okay. So you can see the cadence here of when to send these out. So, what does a message template look like in terms of all the principles I just talked about? Hey, I know this is random, but you seem like the best person to reach out to for this. I'm chatting with some agency owners that know they should be doing more to improve their client acquisition or to land new clients predictably every month. At a high level, we help agencies install predictable client acquisition systems. Would it be all right if I shared a few ideas to fix your client acquisition, to fix XYZ in their business, right? You get the idea. But that framework alone, once again, I get their guard down. I'm chatting with, it sounds more conversational. It doesn't sound overly corporate. I'm not pitching them. I'm just saying, hey, at a high level, here's what we do. And then I'm offering to provide value. Hey, can I share a few ideas on what might work for you? Right? Same thing here. Message 2. We're going to have that case study where it's like, forgot to mention, we just helped this business get this result. If we were able to help you do something similar, would it be worth a conversation? Right? Message 3, name, right? So let's talk about sending messages to connections. Once again, I'm trying to get a response. Now, there's 2 ways that you can go about doing this. Now, this is a very direct approach to that problem, right? But I can also make an indirect approach, and I can use open-ended questions to get me to where I want to go and open up a sales conversation. So let me just show you an example, right? So in this direct example, I'm going ahead and reaching out to agency owners, and I'm giving them my CTA link right away, right? I am offering to give them 10 to 15 minutes, give them a few ideas. But on the indirect side of things, I'm saying, hey, same opener, because I want it to seem random and human. But I'm also saying I'm doing some research into where agencies are focusing their time and effort this Q4. I'll be sharing a write-up and analysis with everyone who's kind enough to take a moment to respond. What's your primary focus for Q4, right? Now, what I'm doing here is I'm gathering data, right? And let's just say I get responses to this message where it's saying, hey, I'm focused on client acquisition. Hey, I'm focused on improving my profitability. Hey, I'm focused on improving my operations. Okay, great. I now know where to take the conversation from there and either offer a piece of content, offer a call to give them ideas. You can see how this just builds, but it's once again, research. And I am ultimately going to aggregate all that and turn it into a great piece of content that I can post. But hey, I'm going to get leads in the process. Cool. So let's talk about LinkedIn inbox management. All right. I know this is a lot here. I know I'm throwing a lot at you once again. It's all going to be in the SOP. But really, you're going to get 3 types of responses, right? You're going to get positive, neutral, and negative responses, right? So positive replies, yes, I'm interested in having you share a few ideas. Great. The goal of that is to book a meeting, ideally on your high-level calendar, right? The faster you can get out of the DMs, the better. Understand that you're not going to close in the DMs, right? Neutral replies. These are typically the highest variation in response, right? So it's like, oh yeah, maybe, right? And determining whether they're closer to a positive or negative reply is going to help with the sentiment, right? In my opinion, I'm more so in the camp of, unless it's blatantly obvious that they're ready for a call, I'm probably going to treat it as a negative reply than I am a positive, right? Instead of burning that lead, okay? So once again, if the prospect isn't a good fit, don't waste too much time replying, right?
Yeah, the 2 things that I always notice in this world of, temperaturing or lead labeling is, especially with agency owners, a lot of people will be overly biased where they take a neutral reply and count it as a positive. right? And the
Trying to
other
pad those
is,
numbers.
yeah, well, they just feel like a maybe is a yes because they're hopeful as an entrepreneur, or they're just positive, optimistic, just in general. Or
Yeah.
salespeople, prospectors who are fluffing numbers, right? And then the other is a negative component. Like, it hurts when someone says, screw off. Don't ever reach out to me ever again. It's like it's not it's mentally very difficult to deal with as an entrepreneur when someone says no to your entire business. But it's probably the best thing for you because it allows you to, one, fix the mechanics of your message, or just completely isolate your ideal clients away from your non-ideal clients.
Right. Yeah, no, great ad there. Um, and yeah, I mean, you want to know where people are at, right? And with cold outreach being a numbers game, I'd rather have definitive answers than maybes,
Yeah.
right? Um, so dealing with negative replies, right? Hey, I know that I have an inbox for following up with when I have a new offer, when I have a new case study, something that could, you know, rekindle interest in what I'm doing. Great. I'm using my negative replies for that. And the goal is to keep the door open for future conversation. Once again, don't burn these people, and that way you can never hit them up again, right? Depending on the value of your service and the size of your market, you might only have 2 to 5,000 people to sell to. I want to make sure I take care of those 2 to 5,000 people if that's my addressable market, right? Because that can be a lot of money, right? And some of you listening might have really, really high ticket stuff, and or maybe you have lower ticket stuff, but just your addressable market is smaller, right? So make sure you treat these appropriately. Also, just to prove to you that this message and script works, fun fact, I love random messages and requests. Good hook, right? People responding, hey, this is my constraint right now. Hey, we're focused on sales. Hey, this is what I'm focused on. You can see that people are giving me a lot of ammunition to turn around and book them into a call versus typical cold outreach. You might get some people that are a little angry at you for even reaching out to them. So you can see the power of an indirect question in this format as well. Same thing. I mean, paragraphs, right? Like, this person took serious time to let me know what's going on in their business, right? Which is great. So let's talk about dealing with positive replies, right? All I'm going to say is that sounds like a plan to me, Name. Let's find 15 to 20 minutes where I can share those ideas. And then I'm going to insert my GHL calendar right here. Let me know if that link works for you. I'm also giving them a fallback if for some reason they weren't able to access the link, right? Negative replies, totally understand, Name. Appreciate the reply. Feel free to use me as a resource if X or Y problem is ever top of mind for you. Or I can point them to a lead magnet, like a DIY option. Hey, understand it might not be a good fit to chat. If you still want to solve this problem on your own, though, check this out. All right. Once again, I'm giving here. So my daily workflow, I'm going to respond to my LinkedIn inbox. Once you get the SOP, you're going to see that this is a message B list. I'm going to send my connection requests. I'm going to send my messages to connections, as many as there are in that inbox. And I'm going to send my emails, and I'm going to rinse and repeat. And this whole process should take you no more than 15 minutes a day, right? For really significant upside. Now, understand, like everything, it's about the consistency, and you're going to have to iterate, right? So if you don't get results with one of these scripts, great. What could I change to increase the likelihood on this next round that I do? And the more you ask that question, the more successful a business owner you're going to be anyway, right? But I do know for a fact that these work. So that message cadence, once again, day 1, day 3, day 10, day 17. I recommend testing this first before you iterate upon it. And then let's talk about data tracking and benchmarks, right? How do we know that this is actually winning, right? I want 30 to 40% of the connection requests I send out to get accepted. Of those people, I want 20 to 30% to respond to me. Ideally, 15 to 25 is positive. And then from the positive replies, I should be booking 60% plus of those people. That's more of a follow-up game than anything else. So this should be on the low end, 240 new connections, 48 replies, 7 positive replies, 4 meetings booked per LinkedIn account per month. You'll notice it's per account. Pro tip, if you want to scale this up, just get other people on your team to lend you their LinkedIn account, and you can do outreach through their profile as well and double the numbers that you see here. Right. Now, let's talk about post-booking workflow. So getting the meeting booked, right? All the way back to the very beginning of this presentation, our profile, you can see that my main CTA here is get our growth blueprint. Now, this is directing traffic at a landing page that I have built in GHL, right? So they're going to click this, pop-up's going to come up, name, email, phone number. That's great. This allows me to nurture them with sequences from here. Also, our SDR can give them a call as well. Basically, after they opt in, they're going to go to the thank you page and call booking. Hey, this lead magnet's on the way to the inbox. Watch this video to get the most out of it. Okay, this is a VSL here, and then another call booking button from here. Once again, GHL embed, survey on the back side of it to ask those qualifying questions, and then I have a workflow that pipes that right into Slack. Also, fortune is in the follow-up, right? If you have leads opting into your lead magnets through LinkedIn, or you have call bookings coming in, make sure that you're actually using the incredible tool that GHL is for the nurture sequences, right? So you can see here, people opt into that funnel. I'm shooting that off to Slack. So immediately, my setter knows, because we're monitoring that Slack channel all day in addition to GHL. And then you can see I have a very simple workflow here of just email follow-ups from there, right? Once again, inside of there, case studies, nurture content, other resources, question-based emails to get a reply, get them engaged. Also, I love using tags for these because then my SDR can know, okay, what have they opted into? What aspects of my client journey have they touched, so that I can reference these things and I can kind of tailor my follow-ups manually to what actions they've actually taken within my funnels, right? And then once they've booked calls, right, discovery call confirmation flows, you want to make sure that you have some sort of follow-up sequence in place so that, hey, my show rate is strong. People are actually excited to come to the call. People maybe even have some of their questions pre-framed and answered for them before they get there. Once again, I think it's marketing's job to make sales as easy as possible. So do yourself a favor and address all of your most common objections, all of your most common questions in workflows like this and content, so that when they jump on, they're ready to go, right?
I love it. Well, one thing that we forgot to talk about is the social media planner. So those of you that are excited for that component and you want to automate this, schedule it months in advance, things like that, take a look at that. We're not talking about it on this call or this masterclass, but that is something that's available to you as part of High Level natively that will allow you to schedule out all these things and build out all these automations. Nicholas, this has been a fantastic masterclass. I just want to say thank you to you. How can people find you? I know you do a lot of other cool projects as well, in addition, but how can people find you?
Yeah, for sure. Anywhere on Instagram, it's just going to be Nicholas underscore Kirchner. And then on YouTube, Nicholas Kirchner. On Twitter, Nicholas Kirchner. I mean, if you search me, you're gonna find me. So
I love it. For those folks that are on the fence, Nicholas, they just don't know what to do about this high level thing. You know, they're on the fence. They're like, oh, I don't want to move this mammoth of all my systems over. I mean, it's kind of frightening. We get it. Can you speak to those people, Nicholas, in how you
yeah,
made that jump into high level after, many years of so many systems?
man. Okay, so this is one that I'm passionate on because I've tried all of them. I will tell you this as someone who's been doing this for 10 years. I can't tell you how many zaps I've set up to coordinate everything together to get this marketing tech stack to work properly. And it's a huge headache. And you're probably in that place right now. So if you want it all in one in a platform that actually does it well, let me emphasize on that, because a lot of people have features, but they're not all the way there. I can tell you as a marketer, High Level was built with marketers in mind. It's like, oh, it sure would be nice if these leads could go here when X happens or Y happens, right? Hey, I actually wish that this was a good sales CRM instead of just a marketing CRM, right? And married those two together, right? Because that's a problem I ran into. So long story short, if you're ready to make the change and not have to make the change again, the road ends at High Level. And I can tell you that as a user for the last several years, as someone who's tried everything else out there, it's just the best. So dive in. I mean, what do you really have to lose? You get a free trial. You can test it out, make sure that it works for you. But that's about all I have to say on that.
I love it. And those of you that are on the fence and you're like, you know what, I'm not ready to make that jump, no worries at all. Feel free to jump into all of our educational stuff. Feel free to come to our conferences, masterminds, and just hang out with the people that are in the high level world. Mostly everybody is very collaborative and they're not as competitive as you might find in other ecosystems, not to mention any names. But either way, Nicholas, thanks for jumping in. For those of you that are interested in making that jump, though, and you want some additional resources, Nicholas is providing a snapshot and his affiliate link and resources, though. So if you are interested, comment below or just reach out to us. We'll make that folder available to you, and you can also reach out to Nicholas as well. He'll provide you a snapshot link. But either way, thanks for watching this masterclass on LinkedIn and how to maximize that. Nicholas, what do you got planned for the rest of the year? What is your Q4 looking like? What's your H2 looking like?
I like the open-ended question.
Yeah.
I'll try and keep it short. I mean, for us, we are really over-indexing on being in person with people. So a lot of info space is all online, things like that. So we're hosting a lot of in-person events, pretty much every month here in Nashville. So I'm really excited for that.
And we've came and sponsored some of those events in Nashville as well. Our teams had a great time with you guys.
Yeah, no, and we've enjoyed having you guys there. It's an awesome value add to the community. So a lot of that, especially as we go more digital, I think people are going to crave that in person more. So that's kind of the main jam for us.
All right, guys. Bye for now. Hope you enjoyed the masterclass today.